Hi guys, welcome back to my miniature things. My name is Saeed. Today I am so excited because we are diving straight into the magic of Christmas. I guess we can consider this video a Dolls Day Out video because our dolls are going to the North Pole. I was brainstorming with my sister the other day of like what would be like the ultimate like Christmas video, and she blurted out Santa's workshop. And I was like, hell no. I was like, that's way too much work, especially like making all those little elves and whatnot. I was like, no, I literally can't. And then I went to sleep, and the next morning I woke up and I was like, we're doing it. So without further ado, grab some hot cocoa, get comfy, because we are about to build a Santa's workshop for our dolls. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay till the end because this Santa's workshop is gonna be next level. Welcome to the North Pole. As you can see, our background does have a little bit of wrinkles in it, and that's because it's brand new. I just bought it, and I did try ironing it, but I ended up burning it. I think the only thing that would take those wrinkles out is maybe if I had a steamer, but I don't have one, so we're just gonna have to work with it. But luckily, our scene is not an outside scene, so I don't think it's really gonna matter. So as usual, up first, I think we should do our floors. I joined together 3 pieces of foam board and covered it in this green contact paper that I found on Amazon. And I thought it was the perfect color for our floors for this Santa's workshop. Now, next up on our agenda, let's start building some walls. Let's start with that wall over there on the left. I started by covering a piece of foam board in this wood grain contact paper that I found on Amazon. But as you can see, it wasn't wide enough to cover the sides of my foam board. So let's cut 2 pieces of foam board that measure 2.5 inches by 30 inches and join them together. I then cover one of the sides in my wood grain contact paper and add a 1/4 inch strip of gold craft paper down the middle. And again, this one wasn't long enough to reach all the way to the other side. So let's take one of our Timu molds and fill it up with some hot glue. Please excuse the state of my glue gun. It is a disaster. Let it dry and peel it off. Paint it gold. Cover a piece of foam board that measures 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches in my gold craft paper and add my gold Timu mold to the top. And place it down to the bottom to cover where our 1/4 inch strip didn't reach. Cover the sides with some 3/4 inch strips of our gold craft paper to just make it look more finished. And we're also going to add some 1/2 inch strip of our gold craft paper all along the side to make that also look a lot more finished. Repeat for the other side. And now let's add some 1/4 inch strips to the front on either side. Measure about halfway up and add another Timu mold. Repeat to make another one. And now we can use them to cover the edges of our foam board to give us a gorgeous wooden wall with gold accents and pillars on either side. Now, I think we should make a fireplace on this wall to keep everyone in the workshop, like the elves and Santa and Mrs. Claus, nice and warm and cozy. So let's start making a fireplace. So let's start by cutting a piece down to 3 inches by 10 inches and cover it in our wood grain contact paper. Another piece that measures 3.5 inches by 3 inches and join it on the side that measures 3 inches. Add a piece that measures 3.5 by 9.5 to the bottom on the inside. This one does not have to be covered because nobody's gonna see it. Another piece that measures 3.5 by 3 inches on the other side, a 10 by 3 inch piece in the back, and a 4 by 10 inch piece on the top. Trim my edges in gold craft paper, and now we have the base of our fireplace. Now let's start making the piece where the fire goes. Let's cut and cover a piece that measures 2 inches by 5 inches and another piece that measures 1.5 inches by 5 inches and join them on the side that measures 5 inches. And if you're working with a wood grain contact paper, you really want to pay attention to the direction in which the grain is running. Because as you can see right here, it's running up and down, but on my base, it's running side to side. So a good rule of thumb is that if you want to make something appear wider, you make it go horizontally. And if you want to make something appear taller, you make it go vertically. So if you didn't know, now you know. Let's cut another piece that measures 1.5 by 1.5 and place it right here down in the back in the corner. Another 1.5 by 1.5 piece on the top. Another 1.5 by 5 inch piece to the back. The back, the top, and the bottom don't have to be covered because no one's going to see it. And to finish it off, let's add a black piece of foam board that measures 2 inches by 5 inches to the other side. Cut a piece of molding down to size, spray painted gold, and place it on my piece to cover up the edge of my foam board. Add one of our Timu molds to the top and another piece of my Home Depot molding on the other side. Repeat to make another one. And I have this picture of a burning fire that I printed out from ChatGPT. So I cut it out and stuck it to a piece of foam board. And now let's attach this to the pieces that we just made. Add a black piece of foam board down to the bottom. This obviously is going to be determined by the width of your picture. So for me, it's about 1 3/4 by 4 inches. And I'm just going to place this right down here. Add a 4 inch piece of molding to the front. Add our second piece that we made earlier to the other side, making sure that the black pieces are facing inward towards the fire. And place it on the top of our first piece. I added a tiny little piece of molding down here to the bottom. Which one do you guys think looks better? This side with the molding or this side without the molding? You guys know me, I'm super extra, so I'm gonna go with the molding. For the top of it, I made another box, but this one measures 9.5 inches by 3 inches. Cut 2 pieces that measure 3.25 inches by 10 inches and join them together. Cover it in my wood grain contact paper and trim it in some more molding from Home Depot. Place it on top of the box that I just made, giving us our finished top of our fireplace that we can now place on the top of our fireplace. Place another one of our moldings in the front and a couple smaller ones on the sides. And now that I'm looking at it, I feel like the bottom of it needs some molding too. So let's add some. And I was also thinking, what if we add some lighting to this? So let's take something really sharp and pointy and just go right here down at the bottom and poke a tiny little hole like this. And I bought some fairy lights on Amazon, and this is the packaging. Each one of these were supposed to have a fairy light in it, but this is what they sent me, you guys. Literally, this is how it came in the packaging. And the worst part is all of the little plastic tab, like this one, you can see there's like a little plastic tab right here to protect the battery. Those have all been removed from these. So not only are they tangled, but I'm pretty sure that this was used by somebody else, returned, and then they sent it to me. But we don't have time to return it, so let's just use it as it is. We're gonna take the end of the fairy light and just pass it through that little hole that we made and just pull it all the way through. And then I fold them where the lights are on the top, just to make it more neat so that we don't see a bunch of wire everywhere. So you should end up with something that looks like this. And I'm gonna take the other side that doesn't have the lights and push it through the hole. So all that I'm left with on the inside is a bunch of bulbs sticking out. Now let's try to just separate the bulbs a little bit and add a few pieces of firewood. I think I found these at a dollar store a long time ago, you guys. I'm not really sure where I got them, but they kind of match the wood that we have going on in our picture. I'm just gonna drop them in there over our bulbs to give us a cozy little fireplace with a nice little glow. And of course, I do wish that these lights were flickering, but I couldn't find any that were slow flickering. They were all like really fast, but I still think it looks really cute. And you guys, look at it in front of our wall. Like, if this isn't the cutest thing you've ever seen, I don't know what is. And since this is gonna be Santa's workshop, I feel like we should do a portrait of Santa like above the fireplace, just because, I don't know, I feel like Santa might be a little bit of a narcissist. No, I'm totally kidding, but I do feel like Santa might have a portrait of himself in the workroom just to remind the elves who's in charge while they're working. So I was thinking, I have this picture frame that I found at the dollar store and this picture of Santa Claus that I created and printed using ChatGPT. So let's cut him out and add him to our frame. And now we have a portrait of Santa that we can hang above the fireplace. And I know that I placed it a little bit high, and that's because I want to use this Christmas arrangement that we used in last year's Christmas video to decorate the fireplace and just make it look way more Christmassy. I think that looks so gorgeous. Okay, Saeed, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't start decorating yet. We still have to build a room. Hello. So let's build a wall for over here. So I went ahead and made another one of our wooden walls that I'm just gonna place right over here at an angle. And I was thinking that I want to put a Christmas tree back here, but I want it to be taller than like the rest of the workshop. So let's see if we can make a raised floor for back here with some stairs that we can put the Christmas tree on. Well, not on the stairs, but on the floor. So let's start by cutting a piece of foam board down to 10 inches by 20 inches and cover it in our wood grain contact paper. Cut another piece that measures 3.75 inches by 20 inches. And now we're going to join these two pieces on the side that measures 20 inches. Another piece that measures 9.5 inches by 3.75 inches. And I'm going to place this one over here on the side. I then repeat the same thing for the other side and another 3.75 by 20 inch piece in the back. And because we are going to place our Christmas tree and whatever else we want on here, I feel like we are going to need some support at the bottom. So I cut 2 strips of foam board. They are 3.75 inches tall, and I'm just going to place them right here in the middle. And now we have a nice steady platform for our tree. And then as you can see, I trimmed the front edge, the side that measures 20 inches in some gold craft paper. And I didn't go all the way down to the bottom because you're not going to see it. We're going to add some stairs down here. I then made a smaller one to this one, but this one measures 20 inches wide by 2.75 inches tall by 2 inches deep, and I'm just gonna place it right down here like this. Whoops. I then made one more, but this one's only 1.5 inches tall, and I placed that one to the bottom to give us a set of stairs. Okay, I think that looks amazing, but I think we need some windows back here so that the elves can enjoy the view. Let's change things up a little bit and cover this piece of foam board in this dark red contact paper that I found on Amazon. Like this. Now let's use a few pieces of my Home Depot molding, measure about 4 inches up from the bottom, and place one piece going across, a shorter piece on the side, one on the top, and another one on the other side. To create a rectangle on our piece about 1/4 inch away from either edge, one more piece in the middle. I made some hot glue molds to make this look even fancier, but I had to spray paint them gold. So while they're drying, let's see if we can make the windows. So I went ahead and I made my cutouts. They both measure 4 inches wide by 11 inches tall and about 3¼ inches away from either edge. And to trim them, I have more molding. And notice how my corners are cut at an angle so I get a nice clean finish. I then repeated for the other side so that they match. And I tried painting my foam board with gold spray paint, and you guys, look at it. It kind of like destroyed it a little bit, but honestly, I don't mind it too much. It's a little bit textured, but I think it still looks good. You would have think I learned my lesson from when I made the zoo and I spray painted all the foam and it destroyed it, but clearly I didn't. Let's now take some clear packaging or a piece of plexiglass and a 1/4 inch wooden dowel that I found at Home Depot and place it right down the middle. It measures about 11 inches. Flip my piece over. Also flip my plexiglass over and add it to the back of my window in the middle. And I'm going to use some tape to hold my plexiglass in place. I do it on all 4 sides, and now I can flip my piece back over and start placing some 2-inch strips of our 1/4 inch wooden dowel within our window on either side, going all the way up. And I have these stickers that I found in my local dollar store. So I spray paint them gold and add them to my window to add a little bit more oomph. I repeated to finish the other one, and our 2 molds are finally dried, so let's pop them in. And I made a couple more for over the windows. And you guys, I cannot tell you how happy I am with the way that this came out. I am obsessed. So I made a smaller one with only 1 window that we can put over here on this side, and another one for over here on this side. Okay, what? You must be lying. You must be lying. Like, what? That looks so good. I do wish that we made the stairs go like this so that the walls would open out more so that we can see these side walls better, but it is what it is. Obviously, we're not going to go back and change that now, but now I know better for the future. Another thing is that I really, really like the red with the green. It looks super Christmassy, so I was thinking, what if we made another one of these walls, but in red? Like, don't you think that just looks way more Christmassy? I also made a second one for the other side, and obviously we're not gonna let this one go to waste since we spent so much time making it. Hello, so we're gonna use this one over here on this side. But I'm just realizing that we didn't put a door in this room, you guys. Like, the elves are gonna have no way to get in or out of this room. They're gonna be trapped in here forever. So let's put in, let's put in a door over there on that wall. So as you can see, I went ahead and I made my cutout for where I want my door to be. It measures 8 inches wide by 15 inches tall. And yes, I know that is kind of like a tall door, but it's Santa's workshop. Hello. Everything has to be grand. Now let's cut some 1/4 inch strips of our gold craft paper and use it to clean up the edges of our foam board. Add a few pieces of molding to frame it. Cover a piece of foam board in my wood grain contact paper that's a little bit larger than our opening. And I'm just gonna place this in the back to create our doors. Now, as I said, I do want these doors to be really grand because it's Santa's workshop. So let's add some more molding to define the doors a little bit more. I'm going to place 1 piece on this side, another piece in the middle, and then 2 more smaller pieces on the top and the bottom. I also repeated it for the other side, giving us double doors, and I made some more Tumu molds that we can use to decorate them. And for the door handles, I'm going to use these beads. I've had these forever. I think I got them at Joann's, but I'm going to place them in the middle of these moldings. Add 1 more molding above our door so it matches our windows. And you guys, look at this door. It is outrageous. Remember, I did say grand. It's giving rich. It's giving opulence. It's giving Taj Mahal. Now let's add our Christmas tree back there, but first let's put it in a pot so it doesn't fall over. I'm gonna use this one, so let's just insert some floral foam in there, push it all the way down, and then use a pair of scissors to cut off the excess on the top. Slide our tree right in the middle of our foam and place it in our scene. Gorgeous! I know it looks a little bit wonky right now, but don't worry, we'll fix that later. Let's start making some furniture. I want to start with a chair for over there next to the fireplace so that Santa has a place to sit while the elves are slaving away. This is my Santa Claus. I found him at CVS. He was about $17 originally, but I had some coupons, and then I believe he was also on sale. So at the end, he ended up being about $8. The only problem is that he is not articulated, so I need to figure out a way to make him sit down because I want him sitting in front of the fireplace. So let's start by removing all of his accessories. Got the bag. Let go, Santa. Oh my gosh, he's so protective of this bag. He also has this staff that I really don't want to break because I want to keep it, but oh, got it. Now let's see what kind of legs he's working with. This is probably the weirdest thing I've ever done on this channel. Okay, I was able to get the pants off, and this is what we're working with. So I think what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna cut his legs off here, and then we'll go from there. Okay, great news. I was able to get his legs off and his boots. And as you can see right here, they used foam to make his arms, and then they ran wire through it, so his arms are bendable. So I was thinking that we can use the same thing for his legs. So let's cut them down to size and run a piece of wire right through the middle, just like they did for his arms. Stick the remaining wire into the boot. I repeat it for the other one, and I think I'm going to use a little bit of duct tape to just hold them together on the top. And now I can place it right back into my Santa Claus, and I'm going to push it all the way in. And look, I was even able to make him a little bit taller so that he is 1/6 scale, because I want my Santa Claus to be huge. Now we can put his pants back on. And now we have a 1/6 scale Santa that's actually posable. So now that we have our Santa figured out, now let's make that chair that goes in front of the fireplace. So let's start by cutting 4 pieces of foam board down to 4 inches by 5 inches, and I stick them all together. Cut a piece of fabric of your choice. I'm going to use this brown pleather, and then we are going to wrap it around our piece. Our 5 inches is going this way, and the 4 inches goes this way. And we are going to start from one side, wrap it around like this, all the way to the other side. And as you can see, the glue under my pleather is a little bit bumpy, but it's okay because no one's gonna see it. I did, however, skip the glue on this part right here because this part is gonna be visible. For our sides, let's fold them over, and then for the corner, let's fold it like we're folding a present. So you should have a 5-inch side that looks like this, and 2 4-inch sides that look like this, and then 1 5-inch side that looks like this. This is gonna be the base of our chair, like where the cushion's gonna go, where Santa's actually gonna sit. For the back of our chair, we're gonna cut a piece of foam board that measures 5 inches by 6 inches, and we are going to cover it in our brown pleather. For this one, you definitely don't want any glue on this side. Well, if you're using a fabric that can handle glue, go for it. But for me, I'm just going to put the glue on this side and roll my edges onto the back of it. And now we can stick it onto the back of our seat, making sure that the ugly side is facing inward. For the armrest, let's cut 3 pieces of foam board that measure 2 3/4 inches by 4 inches and glue them together. Now let's cover this in our brown pleather or whatever fabric you're using. We're going to start by sticking the edge of the fabric not more than halfway across this piece right here. Then we're going to go to the opposite side and do the same thing. Pull your fabric nice and taut. And I've already applied my hot glue to the other side. So you're going to see me roll it like I did the other 2 sides. And then when I get to the corners, I'm just going to pinch them. I repeated the same thing for the other side, and I let it cool completely. And now I'm going to go in with my scissors and just clip off those edges. So you should end up with something that looks like this. And now let's repeat this entire process on the other side. Now, even though this looks amazing, this right here looks like crap. So let's cover it. So I cut a piece of double stick tape down to about 3/4 inches wide, and I place it onto a piece of my brown pleather with about 1/2 inch overlap on either side. And now we're going to start folding it over onto the back of our double stick tape on both sides all the way down until you get something that looks like this. And now we're going to take this and wrap it around this piece to cover up the edges. And then I just trim off the excess. Repeat to make another one. And I totally forgot to film this to you guys, but when you're covering your armrest, make sure to put some glue about 2 inches down from the bottom on the inside of your armrest to adhere the fabric to the foam board. Just because when you place it onto the chair like this, if it's not stuck to the foam board like this side, it's gonna be super wiggly, especially if your fabric has a lot of give to it. Like mine is a stretch pleather, so this would be like all over the place if I didn't stick that there. But now it's time to add in our armrest. So let's just place that on either side of our chair. For the seat, let's cut a piece that measures 4 inches by 5 inches, and we're going to cover it in some batting by rolling the sides over onto the back and then just trimming off any extra on the corner. And now let's cover this piece in some more brown pleather by again rolling the fabric onto the back of the foam board. But this time when we get to this point, we're not going to trim off these corners. We are actually going to fold them over like this. Put a little dot of glue on the inside here and pull them taut like that. And yeah, I know it looks like crap, but when you flip it over, it looks like this. And now we can place it into our Santa's chair, giving him a little seat that he can sit on. Well, not a little seat. Clearly, Santa is huge. For the backrest, let's cut a piece that measures 5 inches by 4.5 inches. And I covered it using the same steps as we used to make the seat cushion. And I kind of want to put some buttons on here to add some more detail. So I'm going to use a needle and thread and just go through my piece just to give my fabric a little bit of an indentation because I am going to glue them on. And I'm completely eyeballing this, so if this doesn't look even, you know why. And the reason why I didn't sew my buttons on was because they're not actually real buttons. I'm gonna use the same beads as we used to make the windows. And honestly, you guys, I'm in love with it. Let's now place it onto our Santa's chair. And I was thinking that maybe we can add some gold molding to it to really amp it up and really make it look like Santa's chair. For the legs, let's add a wooden bead and a wooden finial together. I then spray painted them gold and added them to the bottom of our chair. But before we place our chair into our scene, I found this placemat on Amazon, and I also found this fringe on Amazon. So I was thinking if we ran the fringe along the edge of the mat, we can get a really pretty rug that matches our room. And now we can add in Santa's chair and Santa himself. You guys, this is literally, I literally can't. Like, this is just so cute. Now let's cut 2 strips of paper and add them together. And I wrote a few names on it for the naughty or nice list. And I'm just gonna take a pencil and just roll it up all the way to the end. And then I'm just going to slide it out. And now we have a naughty or nice list that Santa can sit on his chair and read while he's warm at the fireplace. Okay, I am loving this so far, but I feel like that wall back there is looking a little bit bare. So let's make a shelf for back there so the elves can use it to store the toys that they've already made. Let's start at the very bottom with a piece that measures 1 inch by 11.5 inches. And as you can see, I covered it in my wood grain contact paper and I rolled both 1 inch sides. Next are 2 pieces that measure 1 inch by 2 inches. And as you can see, these are covered in my brown contact paper, but not rolled on the sides. And I'm just gonna place these on either end like this. And then a 1 by 11 inch piece in the back. And you guys, I am running out of foam board, so I literally had to destroy one of our past projects. This is a door frame from one of our past projects. That's why it's doubled. It doesn't have to be doubled for you, but it just because I already had it doubled, I was like, you know what? Just extra reinforcement. Next, we're going to cut 2 pieces that measure 2.5 inches by 12 inches, and we are going to join them together. And as you can see, my piece isn't long enough again because I don't have enough foam board, you guys. So I'm just going to have to join it on the side. But it's okay because we are going to cover this entire piece in brown contact paper and trim the edges in gold craft paper. And look, now you can't even tell. Let's now place this piece on top of the first piece that we made, making sure to line up the back so it's nice and flush and that you get a 1/4 inch overhang all the way around the front. This is going to be the base of our shelf. So now that we have this part done, let's start building the top. I cut 4 pieces. These 2 measure 1.5 by 13 inches and these 2 measure 2 by 13 inches. Let's now put them together by adding the 2 1.5 by 13 inch piece onto the sides of the 2 by 13 inch piece. Add the second 2 by 13 inch piece on the top, cover it in my wood grain contact paper, repeat to make another one, and let's set these aside for a second, and cut a piece that measures 7 inches by 13 inches. And I'm gonna cover it in this beautiful craft paper that I found at Joann's a while ago. Well, obviously it was a while ago because Joann's is no longer there, but I feel like I always have to bring that up that Joann's is gone, but I mean, I just can't get over it. Now that I have my foam board covered in my beautiful craft paper, I'm gonna bring back this piece that we set aside earlier, and I'm just gonna join it on the side like this. Cut 4 strips of foam board that measure 1.25 inches by 7 inches, and I cover both sides of them in my wood grain contact paper, and on the edge, I cover it with my gold craft paper. And now I'm gonna use these to make our actual shelves, spacing them evenly, going all the way up. Actually, I lied. I ended up spacing them 2 inches apart so that the bottom had a 4-inch gap because I want to put some pretty large teddy bears down here, so I needed some extra space. But now let's close it off with our second wooden post that we made on this side. Place it on top of our base that we made earlier. Repeat the same steps as we used to make this piece down here to make a second one, and now we're going to place that on the top. Add some 1/2 inch strips of gold craft paper to the bottoms of our posts. And I do want to add some gold molding to this just to tie it into the rest of the room. But I feel like we have a lot of gold already with the gold craft paper in the back, so I think I'm just gonna add a tiny little molding over here on the side. And you guys, look at how beautiful this came out. It matches the room and fills in the space so nicely. I cannot wait to fill that with toys. Oh, I'm so excited. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's build a massive table for the middle right here so the elves have a place to actually build the toys that they're gonna put on that shelf. Let's start by cutting a piece that measures 6 inches by 17 inches, and as you can see, I covered it in my wood grain contact paper. And my second piece measures 6.5 inches by 17 inches, and this one's covered in my red paper, and I'm gonna place them together like this. A 5.5 by 6.5 inch piece on this side. The same thing for the other side, and add another 6.5 by 17 inch piece on the other side. And now let's trim it in gold craft paper and add some of our molding to the sides. Okay, that was pretty easy and it looks amazing. And I know it's a little bit tall, you guys, especially given the fact that elves are so short. So I was thinking that we can bring back some of these stools that we made in our bar/club video. If you haven't seen that video yet, please check it out. It's this video right here. It's literally, I know I always say this, but it's one of my favorite videos I've ever done. So we have 2 there. Let's put another one over here, one here, and one in the back. And I think our toy building station looks amazing. So this is how it's gonna go, okay? The elves are gonna build the toys over here. Then whenever they're done building, they're gonna put it over there on that shelf. And can you guess what happens after the toys are made and they're on that shelf? They get wrapped. So let's make a gift wrapping station. So let's start with a piece that measures 13 inches by 6.5 inches. And as you can see, I covered the top half of it in my wood grade contact paper. And that's because you're not gonna see the bottom of it. Our second piece measures 13 inches by 2 inches. And this is a double piece. I doubled the foam board, as you can see, covered both sides in my wood grain contact paper, and I trimmed one of the edges in my gold craft paper, and I'm just going to place this over here on the side of this 6.5 by 13 inch piece. My next piece measures 6.5 by 6 inches, and I'm going to place this piece right down here about 1/4 inch away from the edge. My next piece is another double piece. This piece measures 2.25 inches by 6.5 inches, and as you can see, I covered the top of it in my wood grain contact paper, and then I trimmed the sides in my gold craft paper, and I'm just going to place this right on the top of our 6.5 by 6 inch piece. Let's now take something pointy and make 3 little holes going up the side of our piece and stick in some round wooden dowels that I painted gold. Actually, before we put these in, let's cut some wrapping paper to about 4 inches wide and about 17 inches long, and just start rolling them onto our wooden dowels like this. And now we can place it back into our gift wrapping cabinet. These are the 3 that I chose: a candy cane looking one, black and gold, and white and gold. Now let's make another side piece just like we did for this piece, and make sure to poke your holes at the exact measurements of the other side. Then place it on the side of our gift wrapping station and slide our wooden dowels into the holes. For the top, I cut a piece that measures 2.5 by 8.5, and again, this one is a double piece that's covered on both sides and trimmed on the edges, and I'm just going to place this right here on the top. Cut 2 pieces that measure 2.5 by 4.5, and I cover them in my wood grain contact paper, making sure to roll all of the sides. And I'm going to place these down here to make some covered doors, add some molding for handles, and a couple more for decoration. And I was thinking that we can place it over here on this right wall. Perfect. It looks adorable. I also made this desk because they obviously need somewhere to put the gifts while they're wrapping it. Hello. All that's missing is a little molding. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Let's now place it in front of our gift paper cupboard. I'm not really sure what to call that, but the thing that holds the gift paper is going right there. So area to make the toys, check. Area to store the toys, check. Area to gift wrap the toys after they've been made, check. So can you guys guess what happens after the gifts are wrapped? They go on a conveyor belt to go to Santa's sleigh. So let's make a conveyor belt. Let's start off with 2 pieces of foam board that measure 4 inches by 16 inches. And notice one of my pieces is black. If you don't have black foam board, you can just use black paper and cover it. I then stick them together and cut another piece that measures 2.5 inches by 4 inches. Cover it in my brown contact paper. And as you can see, I only rolled one of the 4-inch sides. And now I'm going to place that piece right on the edge of our 16-inch piece. And now I can roll my contact paper over the edge of all 3 of my pieces so that it ends up looking like this. Next, let's cut 2 half-inch strips that are about 13.5 inches long. And we're going to cover it in our wood grain contact paper the same way that we covered this piece. We're going to start on the underside, roll it over onto this side, and now we're going to place our piece on the side of our conveyor belt, and again roll the extra contact paper over all 3 pieces. I repeated for the other side, and this is what I ended up getting. It kind of looks like a treadmill. For the legs, let's use this wooden dowel that I found at Home Depot. Cut it down to about 6 inches and cover it in my wood grain contact paper. Make 4 of them, and I decided to glue them on 2 in the front, 2 in the middle, because the back part's going to be up against the wall. And speaking of the back part, everything that's on this conveyor belt has to go somewhere, so let's make that part. Let's cut a piece of foam board down to 4 inches by 4 inches and make a cutout so that we have a 1-inch piece on the top and 2 half-inch pieces on the side. I then cover that piece in gold craft paper and set it aside for a second. Cut a black piece of fabric that's a little bit longer than your cutout and use a pair of scissors to make little slits going all the way up, leaving about 1/2 inch on the top. So you should end up with something that looks like this. Now let's take our gold piece and stick our black fabric on the back of it, making sure the end of it is flush with the bottom of the gold piece. Cut a black piece of foam board down to 4 inches by 4 inches and place our gold piece with our fabric on the top. Trim the edges in gold craft paper, add some molding, and add it to the end of our conveyor belt. But I still feel like something is missing. Oh, wait, I know. More molding. I've obviously never made a conveyor belt or a gift wrapping section before, but I think this came out amazing. But we definitely need some gifts for on top of that conveyor belt. So let me show you guys how to make some really quick, easy, fast Christmas gifts. So let's just stack a few pieces of foam board together and use a gift paper of your choice to wrap it. Add a tiny little bow to the top, giving us a cute little Christmas present, and we didn't even have to make a box. And the best part about this, you guys, is that you can make it any size you want. I made this one to look like maybe there's a miniature Barbie in here. And also you can change up your gift paper to add some variety. So this is what we have going on so far. It is massive. It can't even fit in the frame. And poor Santa is sitting there all alone. So I'm gonna go make some elves. Well, not some elves, a lot of elves. I have to fill up this entire workshop with elves, so pray for me. I also have to make Mrs. Claus. I completely forgot. And I have to decorate this entire thing. Okay, I have a lot to do, so I'm gonna go do all of that right now, and I'll be right back with the finished product. I added a sign that says Santa's Workshop above the door, and this is what I got. Santa Claus. Santa Claus. I hope I did you justice because I think that came out absolutely spectacular. I think definitely my favorite thing that we built today was the fireplace, just because ever since I built that one for my sister when I made the library for her birthday, I've been wanting one of those and now I finally have one. I was also really obsessed with the way that I place all the little toys and the trinkets and then also the gift wrapping station. I think it was just because I've never done one before, so it was new, so it was so exciting to me. But I want to hear from you guys. What was your favorite thing that we built today? Also, what should we build next week? Please leave it in the comments down below. And before we go, I do want to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to all of you guys that supported us on the My Miniature Things launch last weekend. We really appreciate you guys so much, so thank you. Also, this time around, we did a lot more, so we have a lot more inventory just because for the last couple times, people were complaining that everything was sold out and they didn't get a chance to get their hands on anything. So we still have some of the items in stock on our Etsy store, My Miniature Things. I will link it down in the description below. And I also want to touch on a few things that I forgot to mention last week in the launch video just because we were having so much fun with each other. We have been reading, watching, and listening to all of you guys' feedback. I just wanted to address some of the things that you guys mentioned that we decided to fix, basically. First up is the tape that goes around the box that holds the lid onto the box. I saw a couple of reviews say that the tape was damaging the box, and because the box is so nice, you guys want to keep it to use it in the future, and the tape was making it impossible to do so. So we decided to completely skip the tape this time. So it's a lot easier for you guys to open. And if this is something that you bought to maybe keep in the box, maybe you can just add some tape on the top, the bottom, and the sides, because that's pretty much what we do, just to keep your lid from falling off. Also, I did read in some of the comments that the tags that we were using to keep the items in place was snagging you guys' fabric. So this time I completely skipped the tags, absolutely no tags. I use a needle and a thread to tack fabric wherever it needed to be tacked. So you don't have to worry about those pesky tags leaving little holes in your fabric. Also, a few of you guys were asking me if the clothes were made to move. Yes, every single thing that we make and design thus far is made for made to moves. The classic made to moves, not the curvy. The curvy, we are gonna be doing some curvy designs in our next launch. We did showcase our designs on different 1/6 scale dolls, like the Model Muse and the Integrity Toys dolls, and then of course the classic made to move, just to show you what the designs and the fits look like on different dolls. But yes, they all do fit made to moves. And lastly is reviews. You guys already know the drill. If you guys liked our products and you have no problems with it, please give us a nice, huge five thumbs up. 5-star rating on Etsy. We would really appreciate that, since you guys know we are just starting. Well, I mean, this is our third launch, so we're not really just starting, but we're still in the beginning of the beginning stages of it compared to where we're thinking that we want to take this in the future. So yeah, reviews are literally, positive reviews are literally everything to us right now. That being said, I know obviously not everything is going to go 100% for everyone. So if anyone has a problem or just some sort of concern of their order or the stuff that they've received, please DM us privately and let us know what's going on, and we will try to make it right, because we really try to listen to you guys and implement all of the feedback that you guys give us into our next launch, so that it just keeps getting better and better. And as I said, we still have a few of those things for sale, so please check it out on our Etsy store, My Miniature Things. Again, I will link it down in the description. But if you guys like this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.